Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel today. We're back with the highlights of the Kyoto Nations race, driving the Mazda touring car. So this was a combination that I wasn't actually looking forward to, if I'm brutally honest. I wasn't too sure how this would play out in terms of the penalty system. The track layout, it was in reverse, a track layout that I don't think many people have done much driving on. So the first slot of the day, this was quite a competitive slot, some very fast drivers in it. We managed to qualify our car, I think it was in P10. It was very much a slipstream qualifying. We didn't get a slipstream that was actually in any of the qualifyings. I kept starting too far back behind the cars in front, so yeah, unfortunately didn't get the best of laps in. However, still P10, was pretty happy with that in the first slot of the day, considering it's at a track that, yeah, I think we've only raced this once before in an FIA season, the first ever FIA season, not been back to it since then. So yeah, a fictional track as well, not really tend to be my favourite tracks, but yeah, P10, we're doing okay in this one. The first race of the day, we didn't record it live from the Elgato, so I've had to use the replay camera. The second race highlights that we're going to show you after this, we did actually record it with the Elgato footage, so you will see the live gameplay in that one. So let's take a look at the first race. Going into turn 1 from that standing start, we've got Rick on our outside. We have the white Mazda there driven in front of us on the inside. We decided to just hang that tight line through this corner, trying to make sure that we give Rick space on the outside, nice and cleanly through turn 1. Actually, no incidents by the looks of it in this top split FIA race with the 20 Mazdas going through turn 1. It looks like everyone's got through there without any penalties. I've not seen any. I don't know what happened behind, but it all looks fairly clean as we make our way into this tight right-hander. Overtaking opportunities here. I decided to go down the inside. I see an opportunity here. The door was wide open. We go through that inside line, and we managed to take 2 positions there with pretty much a perfect move, taking us up into P8 from P10 on the grid. So now we've got to try and get into the slipstream fully of the cars ahead. Obviously that 7 temps, 8 temps slipstream range is vital in these cars. You really need to be in the slipstream, as Will there has a massive moment on these curves. Extremely tricky section. That section there was one of the reasons why I was tempted not to do this race. However, it seems like so far, lap 1 we've done that pretty well, got through there nice and cleanly, and actually in the practices we started to get used to it, although I don't think I could push it as much as I would like through that section. Now this long right hand corner, another quite a tricky corner, because you've got to carry the speed through there and hold a tight line to that right hand curb to really get the best line through there. It's not the easiest corner. Now this downhill section, flat out through these weaving corners, again pretty tricky. I found that you had to give a little lift off the throttle, or you'd understeer a bit as we go over the curb, and you've got to be careful not to run wide there to pick up that penalty. And then into proper, this corner in my opinion for me was extremely hard. I was really struggling to get the car into the apex and carry the speed. I think I probably should have stayed in 4th gear maybe, especially when the tyres were fresh, to try and help look after them tyres as well. I think that downshift to 3rd was probably not doing them front tyres any good at all in this race. So lap 1 complete, and you can see so far so clean. It seems okay, no issues in this race so far. Nice to get through lap 1 in a race like this, with the cars being very, quite a slow car, quite high grip really. Not the hardest cars to drive, so the racing's normally quite close, and yeah, everyone seems to be getting through okay. As you see, the leader goes a bit sliding through that chicane there. A few cars going 2x2. Very clean racing so far, not much contacts going on. As we go into that braking zone, we see that Rick's going to try and go around the outside of my Mazda into that tight corner. We're going to try and get on the power nice and early, get into that slipstream, and just make that move not really possible, as we just about hold on to that P8 position by utilising a bit of slipstream from Will. We're just falling away from it. We're about 8 temps, just under 8 temps away from that slipstream, possibly losing it. But then on this downhill section, going through that chicane section, there's Will goes very loose again, almost losing control of his car, just about catching it there. Great car control there, and working our way up the hill into this long right hand corner. You can just see we're getting that slipstream pull again and pulling ourselves away from Rick behind us, and then again into this very tricky corner where you've got to get the line right. It's all about trying to get the apex point correct to get on the throttle nicely and work your way up this hill. Now we're going to go down this right hand side. We can see a bit of a bottleneck happening up front, as it looks like it's contact, and by the time we've got any chance to react, we're side by side, going through side by side with Will, trying to give him space. A little bit of contact there, but not much we could really do about that. We take that position. I think that was a fair move, but unfortunately Will did get a penalty in that situation. So again, the penalty situation on the game, yeah, it does need improving, but I just don't think we're going to get any updates on this game now. I personally think that all the attention for Gran Turismo is on GT7, and hopefully for a release as soon as possible, because yeah, I'm really craving a new game now. As we look up ahead and you see cars weaving around, this was an absolutely brilliant race. I thoroughly enjoyed this race, I have to say. I'm so glad that I decided to do these races, because this was some of the best racing I've experienced on Gran Turismo Sport in probably over a year. It really did remind me of the enjoyment I got from early days playing the game, when the racing was really fun. I think it's died off a bit, the fun, but now races like this have really shown that the fun can still exist on the game. Hopefully people are starting to get used to the penalty system being a bit stricter, and also a bit random. It's not really the strictness of the penalty system that I disagree with. What it is the inconsistency of it, the fact that it will give penalties to the wrong person, to totally people innocent in situations. That is my problem with the system. As P6 loses control of his car, extremely difficult situation going down that hill, and we move up into P6, a great start in this race, and now we're going to possibly be able to go for a move on Dilster in P5. We're going to go down the left hand side. Can we hang it round the outside through here? This is extremely difficult. We're side by side, looking at that bottom right hand corner, side by side, going through this long right hand corner. We just about hold it on the outside. Now we're going to be doing a drag race up into this section. How do we do this? Do we go side by side, or are we going to back out? We can see we've got Dilster on our right hand side. We're going to back out. I decided it's too risky to go for that move, and on the outside they decided to let Dilster through and tuck back behind them. And now we're going to have a little look up the inside, but trying to also defend from the car behind us, as we see it getting more absolutely brilliant racing going on in this race. It really was a credit to everyone involved in these races, because the racing was clean, it was fair, it was enjoyable. As we decide to do a little fake there, go back up the left hand side and try and get the move done on the inside, as we're going to go 3 wide into turn 1. You can see we've got 3 cars, we've got the inside line. We're going to have to brake a little bit earlier on that line, trying to hold a tight line and just about managing to keep the car in the nice grip zone. And now we've got Rick behind us, who's just made up 2 positions in 1 corner. Absolutely amazing and enjoyable racing. However, now we have lost that slipstream to the group of cars ahead. We are up to P5, but we have lost that slipstream. So yeah, we've up 1 position, but we really wanted to stay in the slipstream ahead. And this is the thing, when you start battling, you're going to lose time. So yeah, interesting. We've now got to try and hold on, or try and catch up to that group of cars ahead. Now, one area that I did seem pretty consistent and pretty unusually consistent, I would say, is this downhill section through this fast flowing corners. I don't know what it is, but I don't think I was overdriving the car. I seem to be quite consistent through it. So trying to push through here and get as much time out of it as possible, as we pull away a bit from Rick behind us and gain slightly on the car in front, but we're still not in that slipstream, and he's in that slipstream. We actually go through that sector on a purple sector. That shows you that we're actually quite strong for there. As we fast forward a lap and a bit there, and you can see we still got Rick behind us. We're going to go defensive. I should have gone defensive there. I was going to, and I didn't know if I'd hit Rick's front end, and I didn't want to give any penalty, so I decided to hang the outside line and try and hang it around the outside of this corner. You see, getting on the throttle, trying to stay on the outside. Can we take the speed through this corner on the outside? We've got the inside now for this right hand corner and carrying a little bit more speed into this chicane, and Rick decides to back off there. And again, really sensible driving from a lot of people. We held that line, Rick backed off, and then he gives himself a stronger exit. And now we've got Will as well on the left hand side. We're going to try and stay tight to this inside and see if we can get a good exit from here. But Rick on the outside, we're going to give him space, make sure there's no contact, avoid their penalties at all costs really. We don't want to pick up any penalties. And then Rick takes that position. We're going to tuck behind him and pick up that slipstream and down to P6. So yeah, a great start to the race. We're halfway through now. Now tyre wear was starting to kick in a little bit for me. I think the way I was driving it with the slightly aggressive downshifting was slightly wearing out the tyres, and I was using some of the wrong gears, I think. It's a lesson learned, but yeah, what a race this has been so far. I have to say, I'm so happy that we did this race. As we now have Will going up the inside on this long right hand corner, as another car decides to have a little look up the inside there. We managed to take enough speed and then following behind Will to get in that slipstream. So we lost a few positions there, but I think that's the thing. Once you get out of position on the track with a car like this, in terms of your line, it's very difficult to get that momentum back with gaining the speed on the areas that you need it to defend. But yeah, what great racing there's been in this race so far, as we get a little hit from behind there. Not much we could do through there, lost the rear a little bit, and taking a very tight line through this final corner. Try and hang on into Will's slipstream. Again, you can see I'm in 3rd gear. I really think that we should have been trying to hold 4th gear for a bit longer on that long final corner, and just trying to look after the front tyres a bit. You can see our front left is really starting to fade. Now, Some people possibly tried the one-stopper in this race. I'm not too sure. Looking at the track map, the one-stop could work, but you'd need to get like a total clean run. Now the problem with that is you're not going to get a clean run when you've got people battling, and you're going to lose time. So most people, the majority, opting for the no-stop strategy. So we need to try and look after our tyres. Now in this first race we ran our brake bias, I think +3 for the whole race. In the second race we decided to change that up a little bit. But yeah, following behind Will now into the braking zone, trying to take a tight line and being careful we don't hit Will there. This is the type of thing you've got to be so careful on little contacts, because of the penalty system, with the way it will just give random penalties out. But so far in this race we look like we've made quite good progress. We're in P7 still. We started P10, so we've made up 3 positions. If we can hang on to this position I'd be pretty happy anyway. But yeah, let's see if we can get any further up. It's very difficult to hang on now to the slipstream. I think Rick had been looking after his tyres very well in that opening stint, and now we've got a car on our inside. Is he going to be able to go for a dive up the inside there? We're going to try and hang some speed on the outside. We've got the car on the inside. You can see on that replay on the bottom right hand corner, side by side, going through here. We're going to try and take the speed on that wider line, and we managed to do that quite well and hang on to that P7 position. However, that move there has lost us the slipstream, I think, to Will in front. And yeah, like I say, it's so important to stay in the slipstream on this combination. As you can see, the leaders are not that far ahead actually. We've got P4 just up a few car lengths ahead of Rick as we go into this corner again, down to that third gear. You could see how much it was costing me. Every lap we're losing time, and we actually lose a position that time. I really think we should have stayed in 4th gear and tried to carry a bit more speed with a bit more coasting, as I think a little bit of lag spike there. Wasn't a brake check by Stelios. I think at first I wasn't sure when we were actually live, but I think it was just a bit of lag as we skipped through a lap or so ahead. And now we can see that a car up ahead has got a penalty. I think that was PR1 Wheel. We're going to do a little fake and then go up the left hand side. We've now got the inside line into turn 1. Can we try and get into the slipstream of Wheel with this move? Braking as late as we can while trying to give a bit of space on the outside. Down to 2nd gear and then onto the throttle, and then a little bit of contact there before the exit. I think that did slightly push Stelios off on the outside, but I kind of expected him to lift a little bit or take a slightly wide line, but I think that was slight 50-50, possibly a bit more my fault. We did actually nudge him a bit, but not too much harm done. He's still in the slipstream behind us, and we're up into P7 again. So yeah, apologies to Stelios on that one. Looking back, we did possibly get on the throttle a little bit too soon, coming through that corner, and a little nudge. But yeah, with the understeer that was going on with these tyres at this stage of the race, you can see our front left hand tyre really struggling for grip. And now on this downhill section on lap 10, you can see we're struggling, running a little bit wide there. Wasn't sure, and yeah, unfortunately we've picked up a ½ second penalty there as we just run over that curb. I thought we got away with it, but yeah, the rear left hand tyre I think flicked out a bit, and we pick up that ½ second penalty, and Stelios is going to go back through there, taking the position as I take this ½ second penalty. Just trying to, I downshifted for some reason there. I shouldn't have done that. I should have stayed in 4th gear, but yeah, I don't know why I did that. A bit of a random one. But now into the braking zone, trying to get back into the slipstream with Stelios while defending from P9. So we're down to P8. We started P10. Overall, it's not the worst position. Yeah, we've had a really fun race. That is the main thing I think we need to concentrate on in this game now, is the racing. If we can have good fun races, that is all that matters, because I have to say I had the most fun I've had in quite some time on FIA with these races. As we skip through to the final lap, we still got Will a little bit ahead of Stelios there. Seems to be struggling a bit. I'm not sure if he had his brake bias maybe slightly too centered for this race. Not too sure. I know in the second race Will did extremely well. We'll catch up on that in the second race highlights in a moment. But yeah, on the final lap now, can we make up one more position? We're trying to put some pressure on the car in front of us. We've got that slipstream, and it really does show you, if you've got the slipstream, you just gain so much time on the acceleration zones, and you can brake a little bit earlier and then get on the throttle a little bit nicer and try and pressurize them into the areas where you know you're going to be able to overtake. So now into this downhill section, this is so important. This section, you can see this is where I was driving quite well, tended to hook it up reasonably okay, but look at that front left tyre. This is going to be a struggle on this second part to try and get the grip. We try and hit that curb to get on the throttle nice and early. We just about do it, almost losing the rear. We can see the car behind actually did it better than myself. However, Stelios in front of us actually went off track, so we knew he'd have dirty tyres. He's going to go defensive on the right hand side. That is going to be good for me because he's going to get a lot of understeer. I see that his car is understeering, go up the inside, we take that inside line and we put ourselves up into P7 again and take another position on that final lap. Some great racing, again, respectful racing, great to see on this game. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm actually looking forward to some of these FIA races. If this is the type of racing we're going to get, which it might not be, but you know, yeah, 100% respectful racing, totally enjoyable. Into the final corner now, we're going to brake and just try and hold it. Again, we're going down to that third gear. I really wish that we wouldn't have done that in this race, and I think we did it a bit in the second race as well. Definitely think it was better to hold that fourth gear and just let it coast through there, and then get on the throttle nicely in fourth gear as we work our way down the straight, over the line, and a P7 from that race, starting from P10, and a brilliant race. Really enjoyed that one. Now, I was undecided whether I was going to race again, but yeah, I decided, you know what, we had so much fun in that race. I decided that we're going to race again, and this time we managed to qualify P7 with a slightly slower lap actually. Didn't get the slipstream again, but it was a solid lap for no slipstream. I think we definitely could have got a few tenths faster with a solid slipstream. So we're going to put that traction control onto level 1 for this start. Lights are going to go out. Traction control off once we're up to speed a bit here, so we're going to turn that traction control off right there. And again, we're going to try and make sure we get a nice clean turn 1 at least of this race. Let's just see how turn 1 goes this time, as 20 drivers going into turn 1. A lot of side-by-side action up ahead of us, no real contacts, nice and clean so far. Looking behind us on that bottom right hand replay camera, and again, all 20 drivers getting through turn 1 100% clean. Respect to these drivers again, I have to say. I know it shouldn't be that difficult, but I think that's actually a track limit penalty there for the Mazda in front of us. He did cut the corner on the entry, so unfortunately for him, he's got a 1 second penalty. That'll put us up 1 position when he takes his penalty on the next penalty zone. But everything else so far looking clean. Look in the bottom right hand corner, you can see it all looks pretty nice. No cars going off, no one being punted off. It all looks pretty respectable. For a race like this, I think a lot of people were worried of racing. I was actually pretty happy with how people were driving it as we go through this twisty downhill section. The car in front is going to take that penalty. That's a 1 second penalty. We're going to go straight through it, use a bit of slipstream, and we're up into P6 and behind Joni now in the other Mazda. Going through this long right hand corner again, trying to hold that fourth gear, getting on the throttle at the right point so we can take the speed up the hill, hitting the apex nicely, and in that slipstream working our way now into this very tricky. So this for me was one of the trickiest sections, especially when you're in a slipstream, because if you're in this type of distance you tended to get quite high speeds. So I was just giving it a little lift off the throttle there just to get it to bite into the apex. Possibly not as fast doing it that way, but it just felt a little bit safer in terms of the reliability of getting through the corner. But this time you can see I'm holding fourth gear a little bit. You can see downshift to fourth there and third gear there, but back up to fourth straight away. I think that was a better way to do it than what I was doing before. I was really downshifting way too aggressively, and what you will find on Gran Turismo is shifting smoothly is important. Downshifting nicely and smoothly will not only sometimes be faster, it will also look after your tyres a lot better. So now we're with that +3 brake bias as well, you'll see in this race. I decided to go for a different strategy though, as changing it during the race. With different phases of the race we went further towards the rears. We're very close to the cars in front now. Just look how close this action is as we work our way through this really fast flowing chicane. All cars there from the lead driver all the way through to myself in P6 in this race. I think within 1.5 seconds of each other. Brilliant racing going on here. Into this right hand corner again, looking for a little bit of a move up there, can't go for that. We've got PR1 wheel behind us, started from P11 on the grid. It's now up to P7 already, absolutely on a flyer. Starting to get the hang of this combination by the looks of it there as we work our way into this downhill section. Important again to try and hook this up onto that left hand side, downshifting at the right points and then trying to get the rotation while getting on the throttle and using the slipstream to our advantage now. Going up the hill, can we go for a move into this corner? You can see we're gaining, getting closer and closer. However, it's very difficult to go for a move up that inside. I prefer just taking a wider line and seeing if you can get a better exit coming out of this long right hand corner and maybe getting the slipstream down into the next braking zone. But yeah, again, very tricky to go through here side by side. You have to be at least side by side to be able to make anything work. But yeah, you can see in that slipstream, deciding to back off again. You'll see a little bit of a lift off the throttle because I didn't want to get too close really. I found that if you're too close behind cars through there, it was extremely difficult to get into the corner properly. Again, holding that fourth gear, then down to third gear, and then early upshift into fourth. This time we did actually stay in third gear a bit too long, and you can see that did actually affect us as we got wheel on our right side. That last corner, If we could get that corner sorted, I think we would have been quite competitive here. But yeah, it seems like every lap we were making a mistake on that final corner. But luckily we did manage to hold onto that P6. You can see Will's going to try and go around the outside. We managed to take the speed into the apex of the corner, and we've still got that P6. But now following behind the Mazda in front, very close to the rear of this car. We're going to try and go for a move possibly into the braking zone. We're very close, but it's so hard when cars are all getting slipstream. Do you go for a move? We're going to look down the right hand side here to see if we can go for a move into the braking zone. A little bit too far back there, can't really throw it up the inside there. The gap was always going to close over, and now we're pushing down. I'm not sure if Will's flashing his lights or if that's just some of the lighting effects going on, but it does look like the Mazda's flashing its lights. I think it is just with the lighting effects of the sun onto them lights. And now into this downhill section, trying to keep it nice and smooth. Again, very difficult section. Didn't quite hook it up then, ran a little bit wide, but managed to take some reasonable speed up the hill, and then into this long right hand corner. You're going to see very close racing still. Look at the gap, the delta, 1.2 seconds to P1. That's insane. We're on lap 3 obviously. We've got Rick up ahead there, we've got Jones I think in P1, Servet in P2, and now we're going to be trying to see if we can make any more places up in this race. Although at the moment I think I'm actually quite happy with P6, I'm not going to lie. We're in this group battling out in the lead. I didn't really expect to be anywhere near this kind of position before the races started. Like I say, it's not a combination I tend to really enjoy it, but yeah, I'm so glad we tried it out. The racing was brilliant, and again you can see in this race, this was our second race, and just look how close this is. 7 cars here battling for the lead, all very close, no penalties, clean and respectful racing. This is what Gran Turismo Sport should always be about. It's just a shame that the penalty inconsistencies can sometimes ruin races like this. We saw it at Dragon Trail at Seaside in the last FIA race when we live streamed it. The penalty system can give very random penalties, but if it works and if people drive respectful, sometimes the racing can still be brilliant. As we see, trying to go round the inside on that corner there, not able to do it. You can see that the white Mazda manages to hold on to his position in front of us, and yeah, into the braking zone now. Will's right behind us there. I kind of expected Will to go for a move here. You can see he goes to the left. I tried to stay in the middle of the track, compromise his entry into this corner a little bit, and try and hold a better exit speed from here. We managed to get good exit, but we're side by side. Squeeze a little bit there, but that's all fair in this game. He gave us enough space, but now we're trying to get the slipstream, but we're just not able to get it. We're going to decide to back off here, let Will up on the inside, and just follow behind Will, as you see, going through this section again, getting that car rotation, doing that corners pretty much spot on. I think I'd actually got that corner almost nailed in terms of the track limits. We're not getting any penalties through there, and we're doing it reasonably well every single lap as we work our way into this long right hand corner. Now you can see the cars behind getting very, very close to that slipstream range. You can see they're actually in the slipstream right now, but as soon as we're on the throttle, you can see that slipstream range slowly falls back, and they're now just outside that slipstream. 8 temps, you need to be within 8 temps to be in the slipstream, so we're going to try and follow Will through here, trying to take it nice and smooth, try not to make any mistakes, try and carry as much speed. We actually lose a bit of speed through there. You can see I took it a little bit too easy maybe. Now into that braking zone, trying to hold 4th gear. You can see how I was trying to hold 4th gear a lot longer this time before we downshifted. I was downshifting way too aggressive on that first race, but still losing out a little bit in terms of lap time. But you can see that last corner, if we could have started to get that right, I think we would have had quite a bit more race pace in this race, but still doing okay. We're only 1 second away from the leader. That shows you how close. We're going to try and go around the outside of P6. Can we make this move work? Trying to hang it around the outside, onto the throttle as early as we can, onto the curb using all the width of the track, and we managed to get a really good bit of exit speed there, and he just backs out of that. Again, great racecraft. He backed out of the corner. You could see that we had the inside line, and now we're going to follow Will back into P6 and looking to get into the lead of the race by looks of it, Will. All within under a second here into the lead. This is absolutely crazy racing. You can see taking that inside line, trying to get on the throttle nice and early. We've got Will on our left hand side there, just on our left. Will actually takes a brilliant amount of speed through that corner and actually makes an amazing move onto Rick. So Rick down to P5, we're in P6, PR1 Will into P4, and again, this is why I was so happy I did these races. This is the type of racing that I love. Racing like this is why I play racing games, and this to me is still why Gran Turismo Sport is still the #1 console racing game. I don't think, even though we've got penalty inconsistencies and stuff, you just do not get racing like this on many other racing games out there. Yes, you can say you've got Assetto Corsa, but the competition on that game is just not there because the servers on PS4 do not really work properly in terms of the competition rank. But yeah, on console, I would still say that GT Sport is king of console racing. There's just nothing that really matches it in terms of when you're in respectful races and you've got people that race clean. The racing is unmatched. There's Rick there looking for a move on survey. I don't know, it looks like Will has managed to get himself up to P. Look at Will all the way up there in P3, absolutely driving an amazing race so far. From P11, he's now up to P3 in this race, doing a great job and working his way forward as we now getting that slipstream off Rick. Can we work our way up and maybe make some places up? However, the tyres, you can see, although a little bit better this time, you can see I've moved the brake bias to +4 now. So we changed that on about lap 5, I think it was, to try and help the tyres. We're going to try and go for that move on the outside on Rick. You can see, not able to make that move. We're going to back off. You can see I've not got the speed, so we're going to tuck back in to the slipstream and see if we can follow through here and take a nice entry and exit off that curb and maybe go for a move. You can see the survey makes a little bit of an error there. Rick is going to try and probably hang it round the outside. We're going to try and get on the brakes and maybe have a look up the inside. You can see side by side, no contact again. This is why, again, a perfect example of how you should race. Rick there within inches of survey giving the space. Brilliant racing all round as we are now going to try and see if we can take a good entry and exit off this very tricky downhill chicane. You can see using all the curb. I actually missed the curb a bit on that point as survey goes a little bit sideways, but one thing is we didn't lose too much time. I think the driver in front of us there with that sideways action has given me a nice solid slipstream up this hill. You can see Rick gained quite a bit of time. I think he absolutely nailed that part of the track there, and then into this long right hand corner. The front left, this is the type of corner that this and the final corner absolutely kill that front left hand tyre. So trying to take the speed, a moment on the curb there, almost losing control of the car, just about got caught it and carried on in the slipstream. You can see with the driver behind us as well, could have probably gone for a move then and made it very awkward, but decided to play it safe, back out, keeping the slipstream, and we all hang on to that slipstream train to P1. So all within 1.5 seconds of the lead of this race so far. And if you have a look who is in the lead from P11 on the grid to P1, PR1 Will, an absolutely insane job in this race. From that place on the grid, it is possible in these races, obviously with these types of cars, but yeah, some brilliant overtaking, all clean as well from what I've seen. Worked his way from P11 to P1, as Jones said, now in P2, hanging on to that grid slot from P1. Don't know what his tyres are going to be like towards the end, but yeah, this race is just, again, a perfect example of why we're all playing the game. Just look at this clean racing going on. I did try and actually show you a bit more of a watered down, I wanted to try and condense these races down a bit, but I just couldn't really find much of the content to get rid of because there was just so much good racing going on in this race, and that is always a sign that you know, the combinations give brilliant racing. Because I physically couldn't get this video for 2 races under 35 minutes really. That it was just very difficult as we work away on the downhill section now. We've got P6 right behind us. We can see we're actually starting to lose that slipstream from P5. We really pushed through here though this time. You can see that was extremely important to push that aggressively through there. And you can see we've actually got right back up into that slipstream as we now skip ahead a little bit. And we see that we've got a penalty for the TX3 driver, which puts me up to P5 in this race, right behind VLX Jones, who's fallen back a little bit. We can see that Rick and Will have pushed that. Will's pushed out a little bit of a lead, and Rick's following on right behind Will there. Rick looks like he's got very good speed, looking after his tyres nicely. It's one thing we can see. We're also on that 5 to the rear brake bias now, trying to save these fronts just for a few extra laps, because them long right hand corners that don't seem to end are really taking the life out of these tyres. As we get on the brakes as late as possible, we can see that Jones, it does seem to be hanging on. He does seem to be struggling with a bit of tyre wear. I think we're all struggling with tyres at this stage of the race. But yeah, into P5 in this race. We started in P7. We've gained a few positions so far. Can we hang on to this P5? It'd actually be a pretty good result for myself at this combination to come away with a P5 from slot 2 as well of the day. Some very strong drivers still in this race as we work our way through there onto the throttle, trying to get in the slipstream. You can see some very close racing going on behind us still. We've got a lot of cars that are still going to be fighting for this P5 position in this race. You can see Will up front there, just ahead of Rick, just about building up a bit of a gap there. You can see that Rick has got Joni right behind him as well as we work away in the slipstream. Can we get close enough up here. You can see what I tended to do though, I didn't want to be too close through this section, because I found that when you were really close, I just couldn't really see where I was going, because obviously the view I use, it was obstructing the apex. So I was lifting off the throttle there, trying to make sure I get onto the apexes nicely, and trying not to risk a penalty on that corner there where you can just run wide so easily. And then down to 4th gear, and again, you'll see how we're not downshifting as aggressively this time, trying to hold that apex better. Then we can early upshift into 4th gear, use the slipstream, and see if we can go for a move on Jones in front of us. Can we go for a move? He's holding that inside line. He's not going to budge from that apex there, so we're going to try and go around the outside. Can we hang it round with a really late braking move like we did earlier on in the race? And you see we've managed to go around the outside. Can we hang it round down to 2nd gear on the throttle? But we just cannot. At the moment, the tyres just do not have the grip to really hang that wide line round that corner. So we're back into the slipstream, trying to take this corner nice and smooth. We don't want to get the rear sliding too much. We get a little bit of sliding action there, which is going to cost us a bit of time. And again, we can't really go for a move up the inside. We're going to go a little bit defensive to the car behind us, down to 2nd gear, try and hold the tight apex again, onto the throttle nice and early. And again, we're into this very tricky downhill section, trying to hang on to Jones in this race and see if we can go for a move at any point. It's going to be very difficult. We can see PR1 Will still in the lead of the race. He looks like he's got Rick now in that slipstream. Rick's pace looked very good in this race. I think he was holding his tyres quite well for the end of the race. As we now go into this again, long right hand corner, can we find a place or anywhere on this track to go for a move on Jones? It's going to be difficult. The car's tyres, you can see that front left tyre is really warm as we throw it into this corner, trying to get the car to bite in off the throttle and then back on the throttle, taking the speed up the hill. And now we're very, very close at this point. Again, I think if we could have started to do this corner a bit better, you can see how I'm backing off there because I don't want to be, you can see I'm lifting off the throttle because I don't want to be right on the rear of his car through here, because it just becomes unstable and then I can't really defend from the car behind. So I'm trying to play it safe, trying to ensure that we don't lose the position, as well as trying to look to go for getting ourselves up into P4. So into this final corner again, onto the throttle. You can see trying to hold that tight apex, we just couldn't get the car rotated through there. I'm really having difficulty, but again, we do it better than what we did in the first race. We're in that slipstream. Can we go for a move this time? We're going to have a little look. Can we do a little fake up there? We're going to go to the left and fake it, but he's not going to fall for that. And again, we're going to try and hold it round the outside. Can we keep the grip with this car? He gives a tiny little bit of nudge, but that's okay. That's all okay with these cars. You're going to get little nudges like that. And we're going to go down the left hand side and see if we can look there, but no. We're still in that P5 position. He's doing a very, very good job holding on to P4 as we're trying to put pressure on. But yeah, it's so difficult with these the tyre wear that's going on. We're still trying to defend from the cars behind as well. We've now got the Spanish driver behind us who's got himself up into P6. Will he be going for a move at any point on this lap? Who knows, as we work our way into the final few laps now in this race. So you can see going on this downhill section, this is going to be very important to not make any mistakes. We do not want to lose at this position. We want to try and at least come home in P5, but really I wanted that P4. As we see it, the car going a little bit sideways, Jones also getting a little bit sideways. Luckily both of us not getting dirty tyres there and working our way up the hill. So we've still got that slipstream. We've got the Spanish driver right behind us. This is very you've got to be very cautious that if they're going to go for a move, you're going to have to take a very tight line through here. You can see, not sure again whether he's flashing or whether that's just the lighting effects on the lights. You couldn't really tell, but carrying the speed up the hill. We've got that slipstream again. We're going to probably lift when we're behind Jones because I do not like being too close to him. So yeah, you can see that little lift there, trying to make sure that I do not get too close to the car in front through here, because it really, I just didn't like it. I couldn't really see where I was going. Again, trying to take it smooth. We're going to brake early for this corner, try and hold a tight line because we don't want any cars going up the inside. And the Spanish driver behind has a massive moment. You can see him sliding off in that rear view mirror. He got all sideways. It must have just clipped the outside curb or something, or over to the left on the outside too much. And now we're a little bit too far behind this time to go for a move on Jones. We're going to pick that slipstream up, but you can see we skip ahead to the final lap for the final few corners of this race. And yeah, we just couldn't really get close enough to him. Can we get close on this final corner though? We go a little bit wide through there. We're going to have to take a very tight line on the right hand side. We're going to go defensive down into third gear, try and hold a tight line again through here. You can see we're going to play with the throttle here, lifting off the throttle to try and rotate the car. We're constantly off the throttle, lifting and rotating. A little bit of contact on the outside. We had the car right behind us. And we did try and give the space. You can see we were trying to go, we pushed the car all the way over to the right hand side after that, and we managed to just about hold on to P5 with an almost photo finish with P6 there. So brilliant racing. Apologies to Celius as well. It wasn't deliberate. We tried to give him space. We actually went all the way over to the right when we got close to the curb. We were trying our hardest, but with that understeer on the tyres, not much we could do in that situation. But yeah, brilliant racing all the way through them. Thoroughly enjoyed races. We pick up 311 points. Really happy with that. And yeah, let's move on to another round in FIA. I'm really looking forward to streaming another race. As these races, these two races were brilliant. I hope that the next round can be just as good as these. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this race. We're going to see you for more live streams and videos in the future. Please hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. And I'll see you all soon for more videos and streams soon. Thanks again for watching, everyone.